My name is Trish, and well, it's Patricia, but I'm known as Trish. I was born in Glasgow in Scotland. Well, we moved from Scotland to Northern Ireland when I was 7, and I have been living in Northern Ireland ever since. I have been married for 30 years and have a 27, nearly 28-year-old son who's recently got engaged. Complicated, I think, is probably the best way to describe it. We lost my mother when I was only 5, so I didn't really know her. We were still living in Scotland at the time, and then my dad remarried, and so I had a stepmom and a stepsister. But in order to give us all a new start, he moved us then to Northern. He got a job in Northern Ireland, and we all moved. Which, when I look back now, I think I kind of acted out quite a lot. But when I look back now, I was a kid. I was a kid who'd lost her mother and had been moved away from everything she knew. All my security was gone. And I know that Daddy did it for the right reasons, but when I look back now, I think, I can understand why I did rebel a wee bit. So we moved over here, and I've always stayed here. I love it here. It's great, but I'm really enjoying getting to know the family again back in Scotland, because I had spent a lot of years not really seeing them, and so we've started seeing them again the last few years, and that's lovely. I got into heavy metal and started wearing black and dyeing my hair all different colours, and just generally walking around with a face on, and not doing what I was asked to do, and sort of sneaking out and not telling anyone where I was going, and there was a wee rock club about 6 miles away from here in a town that my best friend lived in. So, and I could walk very easily to the bus stop and get the bus to there, and we would go to the rock club from about the age of about 14, which is a lot younger than we were supposed to. Over here it would have been 18. Well, still is 18 before you could go to a club like that, or a pub, or or drink or anything. But we started a bit young. But you know what? I do remember my stepmom at one stage did bring me in for a chat and said, we don't know anything about you. We don't know where you're going. Are you going to? And she named a nightclub, which is a massive, it's still going as well, called Kelly's here. And she said, do you go to Kelly's? And I said, no. And she said, where do you go? And I said, you asked an outright question. How do you lie? I'm not very good at that. If you ask me something outright, I'll tell the truth. And I said, I go to Spuds. And she was like, oh, with all the rockers, all those big hairy guys on motorbikes. And I'm going, yeah. And she said, oh gosh, I think I would rather you go to Kelly's. And I said, no, you wouldn't, because Kelly's was full of drugs. Spuds, there was none of that. They were just beer drinking, that was it. They were rockers coming in with their biker helmets and their biker jackets and sitting down for a few pints. There was no drugs, and there was no fights either. They all looked after each other, and they very much looked after us, because we were too young to be in there. And they always, if anything did happen, somebody would have always been there to get you out, and but nothing really ever did. I was trying to find my gang, my crowd, because my stepsister and my blood sister, there was only a year between them. So whenever my stepsister came on the scene, they did everything together, and I was used to having my sister to myself. So that was really hard for me. And I met a girl at school. I got really friendly with a girl at school who was a bit of a rocker, and then I thought, right, okay, well, this is the way. Well, I didn't think about it. That makes it sound like I planned it out. I didn't. I look back now and think that's why I did it, but I didn't know it at the time. I just liked the music, and sometimes I didn't like the music, but I just listened to it anyway and pretended I liked it to fit in. It was very much, it was very much about me fitting in. But no, I don't really believe in regrets. One of the questions that I was asked, it was the head of HR and my director of I'm an analyst, so it was the director of analysis and the head of HR. And one of the questions they asked me was, if you could go back to your first day in this job, would you do anything differently? And if so, what? And why? I don't really know what happened. My head just went, oh, what? I said something along the lines of, well, am I going back knowing what I know now? But it couldn't be, because if I hadn't done things the way I'd done them, I wouldn't know what I know now. You know, I asked my husband this. I said, what's my superpower? And he said, talking. Rambling on, probably, to quote the wonderful Robert Plant. Rambling on, and or ramble on. I think as well, I'm very good at song titles. So whenever our son was still living at home, every so often he would have come in and just with his phone and just said, right, Mum, name that tune. And he would just play something and would laugh his head off then when I would get it really quickly. It's an old Scottish song, and even a lot of the family don't know it. It's called The Midges, which is about the wee flying, the wee flies that bite you. And I will sing it for him. Oh, the midges, I'm not gonna kitties. The midges are really the limit. With teeth like piranhas, they'll drive you bananas if you let them get under your summit. Your summit is a vest. My husband is probably somewhere hiding in a corner with his head in his hands. Helped to be my mum. Because I didn't really know her. So I would like to know, what was her life like? She was only 36, so, she was very young. I had memories of childhood, but she was never in any of them. At the ripe old age of 51, I still wonder, what was she like? I love my job, actually, even still. I've been doing it 22 years. So I'm looking at patterns and trends in organised crime and trying to predict what is going to come next. So, for example, the drugs market, I'd be looking and saying, what are we seeing here now? What is causing the most harm on the streets of Northern Ireland? And how is that likely to change? And why will it change, and how will it change? And what can we do to stop it, or to mitigate against what's going on and what's likely to come? Food, chocolate, dark chocolate. And we got a camper van a couple of years ago, anywhere in the van, usually Donegal or somewhere in the Republic of Ireland. A bit obsessed with octopuses at the minute because of remarkably bright creatures. And dolphins as well, and we're very fortunate off our coast here to have wild dolphins. You would often see pods of porpoises and of dolphins. And a friend and I had the opportunity a number of years ago. I take her every year. We go sea dipping together. And every year I take her on what we call the birthday boat trip. We went out in this boat and we got to swim with wild dolphins underneath. There's a rope bridge, a very dramatic rope bridge fairly near us, and we got to swim there. And it's very well known there. It's near the Giant's Causeway, and it was the most incredible experience. So it's a very famous. It's a children's book, really, but I love it. I'm a sucker for a good Disney animation. I don't like so much now. They're peopling them a bit now. I call it peopling. Where they're making them, they're not animated anymore. And I'm like, I love Wildflowers by Tom Petty. I love Landslide by Fleetwood Mac. But I also love a wee bit of Bruno Mars.
I hope you enjoyed Trish's story from childhood loss to rebellion, music, and an unexpected career. Click on the next video for more ordinary people, extraordinary stories. If you enjoy hearing real people share unforgettable stories, please subscribe